Hello everyone, it is Kaiju Menace here, and it's been a hot minute since I've done a video on this channel, or in topic a Godzilla video, but as you can see in front of me right here, I have a bunch of Godzilla figures, and these are all special because they are NECA figures, which in my opinion is the best Godzilla toy line that exists today. Now, if you didn't know, NECA's kind of just stopping. They're not going to produce Godzilla toys for a while. It might be for a while, it might be permanent, but this is pretty sad on my account just because of how good these figures are. I mean, they're cheap, they're really good paint design, they got a lot of articulation in them, they look really nice, they're in stores, which is saying something for Godzilla figures, at least where I live, so yeah. And once NECA's gone, I mean, where are we going to go from there? What toy line can we really go to? We're going to go over that today and see if there's really a toy line that can replace NECA. Like, when NECA's gone, what Godzilla toy line do you go to next? Alright, let's begin. Okay, first up is the SH Monster Arts Godzilla line. Now, this is arguably the best Godzilla toy line that exists today. These are very nice figures. I mean, they look good, they have a very nice range of movement, the best you'll find in any Godzilla figure. And, I mean, they're a really good figure. So, why wouldn't you want to get these guys? Isn't this the perfect line to replace NECA? Well, there's a couple problems with it. A lot of these figures don't come out right, is they have paint chippings on them, their accessories don't go in correctly, they just don't look good in general sometimes. They can come out, like, randomly. They can't even come out good the majority of the time, so that's one problem with them. These figures are pretty pricey as well. You'll be lucky if you find one under $100. You would think with all those problems the figures had on them most of the time, that they would be reduced in price by a little bit. But since they're not manufactured and handmade, they're just pricey as can be. And that's why they're not always the perfect figures to have. Next up we have X Plus. Very large Godzilla figures, and some of the best looking ones you're going to get. Now, the only one I have is this X Plus Kamacuras figure, and which I got for about $150 at G-Fest. And holy crap, these figures are expensive. They go for hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars on many websites that they're in. These are no joke. If you want to buy one of these, you're going to have to save up a lot of money. But other than the price, they are very good figures. They're meant to be posed. Not really any articulation on them, just the paint design and the sculpt is what makes these figures stand out. They're very big figures as well, so you're going to need a pretty big shelf if you want to fit these guys on. Other than that, they're like the perfect figures to pose and set up on your shelves, just extremely pricey. So just always keep that in mind if you ever want to get one of these guys. Yeah, you're going to have to pay full price if you want to get these figures that are good. I got mine at G-Fest for a lot less, and you can see there's super glue markings right here because I tried to put the neck in place and it broke off. And I had to super glue it like a couple times just because it falls off so much. So, yeah, you kind of want to see if you can get these guys for a somewhat decent price. Not that low. Alright, now taking a break from the really nice figures, we have the Bandai Movie Monster Series Godzilla toy line. Now, of course, these are toys, and they're not supposed to look good. They're meant to be played with and not really put as collectibles. But, I mean, they're decent enough. I mean, they got a pretty nice range on each figure. I mean, they look decent enough. The figures could just look good as like a row of figures just standing on a shelf in your collection. And maybe you could pose them in fighting actions, but they're mostly just there to be on the shelf, really, not really to pose. They're pretty cheap as well, as they'll go around 10, 20 bucks, and at the highest 50, so they're not at all expensive. And, I mean, they're good figures if you just want something cheap, but somewhat nice as well if you get lucky. They're pretty consistent production, and this is the only cheap Biollante figure I can ever find, so you can thank Movie Monster Series for that. Next up, we have the Playmates Godzilla toy line. And this line is famous for its Godzilla vs. Kong toys. And this is the company that NECA lost its licensing to. And, I mean, at first, the figures looked like this. What is this? They already brought us Godzilla vs. Kong figures even before the movie comes out. So, of course, they're gonna be pretty popular since everyone wants the figures of the new movie, even though it's not coming out till next year. They're a bit more pricey than the Movie Monsters series, but you can find these at Walmart, so they go for a lot less since they can be found in stores. And hey, they give spoilers to the movie as well, producing figures of the new Skullcrawler and Warbat, kaiju we've never seen before. So they're already posting spoilers, so I guess you can go to your Walmart and get some of these figures yourself. You can find figures like this at your local Walmart right now, just like this guy. You can also find Godzilla vs. Kong toys there as well. So if you want a couple of kids' toys on your shelf, then hey, you got a store to go to. You don't have to shop online. The final toy line I'm going to feature is Jakks Pacific. Now, this is not a very popular one and doesn't have many figures. It only really has figures of 2014 Godzilla and Godzilla King of the Monsters. But it's still a decent company enough. Hey, if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have this giant Godzilla toy to bash around and look enormous in my collection. Well, they have good articulation on them, and they're in stores. They're not always the best looking figures you can find. They kind of look somewhat crappy, most of them. And, I don't know, I wouldn't go for them unless you want to do something like I did, where dedicate a whole shelf to King of the Monsters figures. The figures can move, they look pretty okay. And considering the competition between the King of Monsters figures, between Jakks Pacific and Bandai, Jakks Pacific actually did better. That's right, the company that created Godzilla made worse figures than Americans' version of Godzilla from the Godzilla King of the Monsters. That's kind of crazy to me. So hey, they got something going for them. And maybe they'll make Godzilla vs. Kong figures too, if they ever get a license from Playmates. Although I doubt it. Now, why is NECA the best Godzilla toy line, in my opinion? Well, I mean, they're just the perfect figures. They're really cheap. They have a very good range of movement on them. They look very nice. They have a really good sculpting. You can find them at Target. You can find them on Amazon. You can find them at G-Fest. You can find them anywhere, pretty much. They're the perfect figures to add to your collection. That's why it's just so sad for me to see these figures go. It's my favorite toy company. I have a whole shelf dedicated to these figures. There's so many advantages. Now, there's a couple of figures I didn't cover here, like Manpresto, Diamond Select, and Revoltech. But I don't really have figures of those companies, and they're not as popular as the ones I mentioned here. Also, I'm not hating on any of these companies here. I think they're all good, and if you love one of them as much as you do, then keep loving it, because I'm just here to express what I like the best, in my opinion. Maybe NECA will return someday. Maybe they'll make some new figures if they ever get their licensing back. Who knows? But I hope one day my favorite Godzilla toy company will make figures once again for us. Goodbye. This is arguably the best Godzilla toy line that exists.